Hello everyone, UndyingMagnus here with a totally original video idea. It's never, ever been done before. Now that I've officially played every Zombies map, today I'm going to be ranking them all from worst to best. I know for a fact that my opinions regarding Zombies maps are going to be a little bit controversial, so here I'm going to spout them all out so you can all point and laugh. Or go seek a therapist, it's your choice and not my problem. A few rules for this list: I will not be ranking Dead Ops Arcade or Extinction, as those are very different experiences. My map rankings will be based on my experience with the map in general, rather than ranking all versions of the map separately. For instance, World at War Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 3 Knocked are all one ranking, as is Doris and the Giant. If a map is different enough, they will be ranked separately. Classified in 5, as well as the original and Vanguard versions of Shino Numa are such examples. If a map has a main Easter egg, it will not be considered in this ranking. Simple fact being is, I haven't done every Easter egg, so I'm not really qualified for that. And I'm not an Easter egg player, despite half of the Zombies videos on my channel being Easter eggs at this point. I'll be ranking these maps based on their gameplay and how fun I think it is. Lastly, while I am going to rank Outbreak from Cold War, I will not be ranking Onslaught, simply because A, it's more of a side mode like Dead Ops, and B, I absolutely cannot be bothered. Other than that, all I have to say is that this is my opinion, subjective, blah blah blah. Anyway, enough of the chit chat, let's get some rankings going! Number 60. If Von List didn't die at the end of Vanguard Zombies, he would have been executed at the Nuremberg trials for simply setting in motion the events that would spawn the abomination against mankind, that is, Terra Maledicta. They took Duran Fong, an already bad map, and somehow they managed to make it worse. I have played this map about 3 times and I do not want to ever play it again. The map was way too big for the mode it was made for and it flowed horribly. This map also added the most annoying objective and special enemy in Vanguard, those being Siphon Cores and Zabola respectively. And the map's wonder weapon, the Decimator's Shield, was tied to the map's pitifully short Easter egg, and it was probably the only thing that could even attempt to redeem this steaming pile. Number 59. What do you get when you try to remake Knocked on a map that has a Knocked remake already on it without using that Knocked remake? Bus Depot! This map was trying its best to be Nocta and Toten 2, but what leads to the downfall of this map is that the time for Nocta and Toten has long passed. It had already been remade in Black Ops 1 at that point, and Bus Depot really does nothing better than Knocked or any of its many remakes. This is a map with literally no reason to exist. Number 58. Knocked Duran Toten. Well, this has got to go somewhere, so it's going right here. The only things this map really has going for it are the atmosphere, and that without this map, we wouldn't have gotten any of the maps after it. Knocked features 3 viable doors, a handful of wall buys, a mystery box, and depending on the game, it can also feature the Thunder Gun, Mule Kick, and the Wunderfizz. One thing I truly hate about this map though, is the spawns being so slow that the character you play as dies of old age before the first zombie gets to the barricade. But still, this map isn't this far down because it's a bad map. It's just that almost everything that came after it was better. Unlike Bus Depot, this map has its place in Zombies as the first map ever made, but it doesn't begin to compare to anything made after it. Number 57. Duran Fong. Well, it was high time this map showed up. I have nothing to say about this thing, other than how this map was on launch was quite possibly the biggest embarrassment Zombies has ever seen. I mean, come on. It took them 2 months to add a Pack-a-Punch camo. Fuck! But this isn't about how it was at launch, it's about how it is now. So how is it now, you may be asking? Still terribly boring. Next! Number 56. Burger Town Foot Lettuce. The last thing you want on your Burger Town burger is someone else's toxic zone. But as it turns out, that might be exactly what you get. A Goliath zombie uploaded a photo, anonymously, to the site, showing a survivor running away from the warbird extraction site to punch a zombie before slipping in an ooze's acid puddle, titled, "They're biting me!" Admittedly, he had the Magnetron, but that's even worse. Number 55. Farm. Some maps innovate, others expand on what we already have, and then there's Farm, which just exists. Farm is a map that I really have nothing to say about. It's got the classic 4 perks, no Pack-a-Punch, and the BO2 systems. I know this is meant to be a simple survival map, but if you wanted that from BO2, why not just play Town or Nuketown? Those maps have at least something going on with them. Number 54. Transit. A cacophony of great ideas executed in the worst ways possible. No thanks to the limitations of 7th generation consoles. That is Transit. One of the most infamous Zombies maps of all time for very, very good reason. It has a terrible buildable wonder weapon that is done no favours by the first iteration of the inventory system. The fog, 2 terrible forms of transportation and a giant map, and an extremely annoying enemy in the denizens that is made for the sole purpose of slowing you down, all compounds together to make a map that flows like concrete after it's fucking solidified. And let's not get started with the absolute ball ache that is opening up Pack-a-Punch on this map. To open Pack-a-Punch, you have to turn on the power, put a turbine at the entrance to the power station, either below or above groundworks. Then you have to go to the town, open up the bank, spend 2 grenades opening the 2 vault doors, and what's this? The Pack-a-Punch room is still shut? Well then, you have to run back to the bus depot by the door which you probably didn't open to go back inside and get your turbine, run back to the power station, place the turbine, run to the bank, rinse and repeat, until a stray zombie doesn't spawn 20 miles away and destroy your turbine. All the while you're treacherously navigating the fog, dodging lava zombies, and getting an extreme head massage from the denizens. This map makes me want to tear my fucking hair out and call myself Baldy.
Welcome to my mental breakdown.
Look, I can see that this map was ambitious. It was very ahead of its time with its ideas. Too much so, in fact, and as a consequence, this map is a complete dumpster fire. There is some good. I am one of the 3 people who actually like the Victor's Crew, and Ted is goddamn hilarious. And the apocalyptic vibes make my hair stand on end. But overall, Transit is not good in the slightest. Number 53. Shi no Numa. Some maps age like a fine wine. Some maps age like milk that's been left out in the sun during a heatwave. Shi no Numa is the latter. Well, to be honest, that's most of World at War, but for now let's focus on this map. This map introduced a few things. The Wunderwaffe DG2 and the Hellhounds. 2 things that we would never, ever see again in the entire history of zombies. At all. Never. We also did see the now beloved Ultimus crew make their first full appearance in this map, which is always a good thing. But I'll say the same as I said for Nacht. The main reason this map is so low is that just about every map that came after this is better. This is true with Shi no Numa, but I think it also does suck a little bit too. Admittedly, high rounds on this map in the World at War version are a weird and wonderful thing to see, but even if I did try them, I probably wouldn't rank this map any higher. Number 52. The Tortured Path. You know, the Tortured Path could have actually been something decent. It's round based with 3 objective rounds and a boss fight round with a 10 round limit before you're forced to exfil. Firstly, I don't like that 10 round limit. The game just ending itself is not good, especially with how short of a game the Tortured Path is. And yes, I know you're supposed to play the 3 maps consecutively, but what? You're forced to leave the game after like a mere 15 minutes just to load into the next zone? What year did this map come out? 1986? Insert floppy disk 2 to proceed to the next 10 rounds! But seriously, if this mode came with an endless mode, I might have actually played it a bit more. And I don't mean the survival maps, I mean a hybrid of survival and the Tortured Path, where you face endless objective rounds and boss fights with BAT airdrops as rewards for completing the objectives, kind of like Exo Survival. It's a shame that you don't even get the option to skip Exfil and stay on the current map. This was a torturous heap of poorly executed ideas and sorely missed opportunities. What a shame. Number 51. The Beast from Beyond. The Beast from Beyond is best described as utter stupidity. The only fun you'll have on the Beans from Beyond is thanks to the Infinite Warfare mechanics, if you even like those, which fortunately for me I do. So this map wasn't too painful to record actually. What isn't fun about the Mr. Beast from Beyond is getting bodied by Dollar Store Jason Voorhees or the Chinese knockoff Cloakers while trying to outrun the cryptids from extinction, and the people who blindly hate non-Treyarch zombies only because Treyarch didn't make it and or blindly hate everything past BO3. The first few rounds of the Mr. Bean from Beyond have you fighting cryptids rather than zombies. Sure, it gives you an OSA to help you out, but fighting wave after wave of what are essentially super sprinters on steroids while scrambling to get the power on, all without Jug, can be a royal pain in the arse. I'll give the Yeast from Beyond credit. The map being the way it is what led me to make my Road to the Director's Cut series, because Director's Cut makes the Least from Beyond actually somewhat bearable, and puts the Venom X in the box so you don't have to do the stupidest quest ever to get the main wonder weapon of the map. Drifting Jesus in a Honda Civic, it isn't even that good. You can't even upgrade it into the elemental Venom X variants from Extinction. What the fuck? That was a really big missed opportunity. Anyway, that's Beast from Beyond at number 51. It's the right thing to do. Number 50, Verrucht. Terrifying atmosphere, perks, traps. Verrucht is yet another World at War map that hasn't aged particularly well, but unlike the others mentioned thus far, this can still be fun to go back and play. Its tight yet player-friendly map layout allows for a variety of strategies, both training and camping, to be executed quite well. The Black Ops 3 version also features the Wunderwaffe to aid your survival even further, and it does a much better job at that than the Winter's Howl seen in the Black Ops 1 version. And the atmosphere, of course, is absolutely spine-chilling. It'll be a crime for me to talk about Verrucht without mentioning it. So this map can be quite fun. Again, it's not necessarily bad. Like the other World at War maps, I respect the vision and the innovation it brought that have now become core features of the mode, but nowadays there are better maps to play. Number 49. The Archon. The Archon is quite a sizable improvement over Terra Maledicta. I'll give it that. Well, other than the green filter that makes the game look like Fallout 3 and actually tends to give me a headache. What also gives me a headache is the map layout. Sure, it's more suited to round base than what it was in Terra Maledicta, but the map layout is still not good, even with the addition of teleporters at the dead ends. To me, it feels like you're always mantling over things to get around, and the map also just has way too many lanes that lead to the same place, and it just feels weird. The map also really puts on display Vanguard's atrocious zombie AI. Maybe I'm in the wrong spot for training, but as you can see in the background footage, it's fucking ridiculous how bad the zombies get. The Desolator Shield returns is actually pretty fun to use in the context of round-based, so it gets some brownie points for that. But the most offensive quality of the map is that every time I play the Archon, it gives me a headache. This'll ruffle some feathers. Number 48. Gorod Krovi. The first controversial ranking on this list of many, I'm sure. Gorod is without a shadow of a doubt the most overrated map in Zombies history. The wonder weapon is shit, the special zombies are awful, the dragon is annoying, and the map layout is one of the worst map layouts I've ever seen. It's literally like you turn the Alpha Omega bunker into a full-size map. That is how confused I feel trying to navigate it. I'll give it this much, like most cutscenes in Black Ops 3, the opening cutscene is fucking awesome, and that round change music, is epic as hell. The return of Ultimus Nikolai is always a welcome sight, and of course, this map would also introduce us to Dr. Monty as well, I'm pretty sure, who is also a great character, and Gorod's setup is probably one of the better ones BO3 has to offer, but overall, Gorod tends to not be an enjoyable experience in the slightest for me, which is why it's at number 48. Just good to show that just because it's in BO3 doesn't automatically make it good, as you will soon see. Just kidding. Kind of. Berlin. No, not that Berlin. Not that one either. Berlin! The Shadowed Throne. A map where everything has to be complicated and everything has to be a complete middle finger to the solo player. Want to hold a zombie? Too bad. It just turns into a Gekkocht. So you're going to have to kill it before it shreds your health, your armor, and your soul. You'll just have to hold a pest. But wait, there's more. Want to open up Pack-a-Punch? Well, you'll have to use a radio. Which means you have to go all the way to the church, see what frequency you have to tune the radio to, while trying not to get hit by the zombie. Then you have to go and tune the radio. But what's that? This isn't Cold War and the zombies still target you on the radio? Well, then you'll have to kill the zombie in hopes that you can tune the radio in the 20 seconds before the next round, which is possible. But this radio is such a finicky piece of garbage that you can put it in the exact frequency and you might have to try it several times before it actually works, and watch out, there's a horde of zombies chewing on your ass. Whoops! Okay, so you choose the radio, launch the flares, got a Geist Bolt from the Gekkocht, and found the battery. Now you have the Wunderbus. The last thing you need to do is charge up 2 fuse boxes, need the Pack-a-Punch machine. except you have to blow them up with explosives to open them. What's that? You bought anything other than satchel charges or sticky grenades? Well then, you're in for a bad time. And if you bought throwing knives, well then you're just fucked. Go on, go spend your life savings trying to get the Fliegerfaust. And then you have the Wunderbass, which is basically a worse version of weapons like the DIE Electrobolt and the Ray Gun Mark II-V. It does a mediocre amount of damage, pisses its ammo away very quickly, and it regenerates it painfully slowly. And then there's the Get-Cocked, or the Sizzlers, whatever you want to call them. One of the worst special enemies ever. The airship above will shoot standard zombies and turn them into these stupid fucking things which run faster than the player and can hit you whilst running at full speed. Not fucking cool! I'll give the Get-Cocks credit, they sound fucking terrifying though. Rant over, that's the Shadow Throne, at number 47. Number 46. Nuketown Zombies. Nuketown Zombies can be a pretty fun survival map, with its perks dropping from the sky, map-specific weapons, and iconic setting, but there's a word I need to give a big emphasis on here. Can. It can be a pretty fun survival map if you get good RNG with Jug. But if you don't get it early and end up getting it close to around 15 or 20, this map is absolute hell. Majorly in part of the 2-hit down system that drags down so many of the older Black Ops titles. Sure, not getting it right away does add a fun element of challenge, but I'd be lying if I didn't say it's very annoying when it takes so long. But if Juggernaut drops at just the right time, then Nuketown can be a great survival experience. But majority of the time, it doesn't. Number 45 is Town from Green Run. Ah, nostalgia! This is the first Zombies map I ever played, and while it's a solid survival map, it definitely has its flaws. The lack of wonder weapons being one of the main flaws of the map in my opinion, as you only have access to the ray gun and the Mark II. Unlike maps like Kino or Doris, the maps it attempts to imitate. Then there's also the lava and the fire zombies, ensuring that if you ever go to a red screen, you will never regenerate your health. God fucking damn it. Could I please get off this red screen? Thank you! Flaws aside, BO2 systems such as the reworked double tap being able to select the starting round on survival maps like this one does give it a leg up over Doris and Kino. Number 44, Doris. The final World at War map and an absolute classic. It introduced brilliant innovations and massive steps forward in the gameplay formula such as the Monkey Bomb, Teleporters and Pack-a-Punch, which have in one way or another become mainstays of the mode. And obviously it had everything else World at War had up until this point. Still, the map is a survival map. There's nothing more to do once you get your equipment or even to get equipment. It's a solid survival map that has definitely aged the best out of all the World at War maps, but it's still not really much else. 43rd best Zombies map of all time. Kino to Toten, Black Ops 1. For some, it's as good as it gets. But for most, it's just a relic of the past. Kino is certainly the most iconic map of all time. Not the best. Chaos. I'll give it this much, it was an improvement over Doris in just about every regard. A small one, but still an improvement nonetheless. Better wonder weapon, more polished mechanics, and the introduction of the Nova Crawlers, which while they can be a nuisance sometimes, it adds variety to an otherwise pretty bland map, like Doris before it. It's a solid survival experience, but that's all it is. Just zombies at its core with nothing else really going on. Number 42, Outbreak. No, the other one. Are you guys sensing a pattern here? Outbreak is yet another bare bones nowadays, yet solid survival map. But unlike the others, there isn't really much to say. This map features the exosuits and the self-free cauterizer, as well as the hosts and EMZs I know we all love. Other than that, all I can say is that this map doesn't really feel like it takes advantage of the exo movement enough. And I don't like that the map doesn't have a unique wonder weapon, as the self-free acts as the exo's equivalent to the ray gun. In conclusion, Outbreak is the most inoffensive Exo Zombies map. Everything it did, the other maps did. But at least it's not Infection, hey. Number 41. 5. Cold War Politicians, DEFCON levels, the Pentagon Thief, and the Winter's Howl. Number 41 is 5, a map where the odds are stacked entirely against you, with Black Ops 1's weak weapons that the Pentagon Thief might just snatch out of your hands. The pitiful Winter's Howl, one of the worst wonder weapons we've ever seen, and a tight, yet playable, map layout. And the first iteration of buildables with the buildable traps in the conference room. This map innovated more than Kino, and another example of that is that it also changed the way you pack-a-punch. this time flipping the 5 defcon switches around the map to temporarily reroute all the teleporters to the Pack-a-Punch room, before opening those doors and sending a swarm of zombies your way. But while there is appeal in the challenge that 5 brings to the table, this map does have some downsides that should be addressed. As previously mentioned, the Winter's Howl is absolute dogshit, struggling to kill past round 20, and the teleporters are really annoying. But perhaps another map may come and fix those issues. Number 40. The Darkest Shore. Darkest Shore is one of the scariest maps ever made, I'll give it that. The fog, its main mechanic, is a bit of a double-edged sword. On the one hand, you can't see shit. On the other, neither can the zombies, which is a pretty cool mechanic tied to the fog. Another cool mechanic, at least initially cool, tied to the fog, is the MWIII, a powerful enemy that hunts in the fog, and is the main reason this map is so scary. Wandering around the fog, you know, all paranoid that there's a MWIII stalking you. Oh my god. This map does have its problems, and no, I do not think the fog is one of them actually. Unpopular, I know. The map layout is one of the most unusual I've ever seen. It's not really bad as it's quite small and it does have fast travels, but it's just very weird. And on that topic, most of the areas of the map do just look the same, and absolutely hideous at that. The wonder weapon of the map, the Ripsaw, is quite good when fully upgraded. Problem is you have to do a not so insignificant chunk of the Easter egg to even start the upgrade quest. One last thing I don't like goes back to the MWIIIs. At first they're a great enemy and provide some scare factor that World War II Zombies tries to bring to the table, but past round 20 the MWIIIs get absolutely spammed at you, and it doesn't help with how tight the map is. That these beasts that do twice the damage as normal zombies just become annoying as fuck. The Darkest Shore is a challenging map and maybe a little underrated, but it can get quite annoying, and that Ripsaw upgrade is just unforgivable. At number 39, we have the first Tortured Path survival map, Bodega Cervantes. Oh, did I not say I was going to rank those? Well, surprise! Bodega is the first of the Tortured Path maps, and despite its much more open layout, I think it's the worst. Simply because the Pack-a-Punch upgrade side quest is literally impossible to do solo. It doesn't require more than one person to actually do, but trying to shoot ducks off a bridge that are only on there for maybe a second maximum, whilst trying to hold a zombie, just isn't possible, or it's extremely difficult if it is. This locks you up from upgrading the base Tesla gun, no loss, upgrading the Ripsaw, or getting the upgraded melee weapons from the Shadowed Throne, which means no free armor. Bodega is a decent survival experience, but the other ones are just better in my opinion. Keep your head on a swizzle, because number 38 is Operation Deadbolt from Modern Warfare 3. This is an interesting take on the objective-based mode, but it does have some things that do drag it down. The general repetitiveness of the gameplay is one thing. There's only a small amount of contracts in the game, and out of those, there's only like 2 or 3 worth doing. I also don't like the timer. I get that in this extraction shooter, and there's 24 players, and there's probably some technical aspect that requires the timer to be there, but a solo mode, or a mode without a timer where you survive for as long as possible, or just a rework to the timer and how it works rather than Ether Storm, maybe, you know, just the whole place gets progressively harder. That would just be much better. I think there could be more variation in the contracts and also just the gameplay as a whole. Things like more maps or public events like Fallout 76 or Destiny do. There just needs to be more to do than just contracts in my opinion. Maybe even like more warlords roaming around the map like in DMZ. Oh, and the loot pool can be greatly improved. I don't want to get a tier 1 Pat Crystal on a green Ether tool from a tier 3 contract, thank you very much. Generally though, this is an okay objective mode with lackluster post-launch support. Number 37 is Shangri-La. Here's a fun fact. In the first draft of my map rankings, before I went back and replayed every map for footage, this map was at the very bottom of my list. I hadn't even done any other maps, but I just knew that this map was going to be number 60. I used to consider this the worst map of all time. Now, it's definitely not the worst, but it is something I have to be in the mood for. Shangri-La features a great wonder weapon in the 3179 JGB215, or as some people call it, the baby gun, the shrink ray, or the baby maker. Ooh, I say. Another thing I like is that Shang also features 3 special enemy types whose abilities can be used against you or in your favour. The Shrieker, the Napalm Zombie, and the Zombie Monkeys. The Napalm's fire instantly kills zombies that walk through it. Shriekers explode upon death, and the Monkey's power-up stealing can give you free max ammos and even free perks. This map looks absolutely gorgeous, and for how tight this map is, it flows surprisingly well, with plenty of fast travel options to move across the map's vertical levels. However, I still have some major gripes about Shang. The map is tight as hell and way too difficult. I like a challenge every now and then, but fuck, I'd like a little bit more versatility rather than sitting in one corner because you can't train until the 40s, and going literally anywhere else is a certain death sentence because the map is so tight. Oh, and fuck the mud maze. Fuck the mud maze. Number 36. Blood of the Dead. Some say that bigger is better, but how big is too big? Well, Blood of the Dead is here to answer that question. Blood of the Dead is a map that is so tedious, it's unreal. What time you're not spending running across the map looking for a part is spent running across the map looking for Pack-a-Punch that the map doesn't even tell you where it's moved to. Look, Blood of the Dead is an overhated map. It improved the map flow in the Mob of the Dead area of the map and added more fast travel, which is pretty nice. The new Magma Gat is a great wonder weapon capable of dishing out some hefty damage, unlike the Acid Gats, which I'm pretty sure got nerfed in this map, as I swear it was nowhere near this bad in Mob. So sure, it did improve in a few aspects over Mob, and in certain areas it certainly did not. But the worst part about it is how just everything after turning on the power, it just has to be so unnecessarily complicated, man, like the Hell's Redeemer and the upgraded shield. Ugh. There is some fun to be had on Blood, but most of the time it's just a gigantic pain in the ass. Which makes sense, this is a gigantic map. The map could have been much better, but the moving Pack-a-Punch and the overcomplication of every little side thing really holds this map back. Number 35. Firebase Z. Firebase Z features an interesting and somewhat decent wonder weapon until they nerfed it. It was really good until they nerfed it, but yeah, it's just decent. A returning special enemy made actually good, and an interesting concept of a special enemy in the Mimic. Thanks primarily to Cold War's mechanics, this map can be fun to play. Until round 30. See, Firebase Z features one of the most unique and interesting special rounds we've seen as of yet. The defense rounds. The first two are pretty fun, and if it stayed like that, this map would be a lot higher. It's a nice little homage to Zombies Origins in sort of like a tower defense sort of mode, but that third defense wave and everyone afterwards is when the Order shows up, and it's the point where these rounds become fucking infuriating. You're forced to fight this gigantic, ugly bullet sponge every 10 rounds after that third defense wave. Treyarch could have at least learned a lesson from Descent, which released nearly 6 years prior, and not force you into a boss fight. At least in that map, Oz wasn't a bullet sponge, and the main boss fight only has to be done once in a game. Well, except for the whole DJ Oz fight, but that's different and also nowhere near as annoying. In other words, this map is decent up until the arrival of Law and Order. Number 34. 9.
A map like Eno does put 9 to the number 9 spot. Holy shit, we got a live one here, boys. Beat it with hammers.
What? Oof! Ow! Owie! Ouch! Ow, my toe! Ow! Youches! Darn! Ow! Ow, my lips! Yowzers! Owie! Ow, my nuts! Okay. 9 is the number 34 spot as the worst Chaos map. Hot take, I know, but this map has so much shit to throw at you. Pun completely intended. Annoying boss enemies that will absolutely suffocate you with how much they are spammed. You have the 2 different gladiator zombies, the Destroyer and the Marauder. Then you have zombie tigers. That's free, not so bad, until you realise that this is a Chaos map, which means you also get 4 different types of Catalyst and the Blight Father as well. And all of these enemies can be on the map at once. In fact, multiple of these enemies can be on the map at once, except maybe the Blight Father. 9 also has some pretty bad map flow. The map layout itself is pretty good, but a complete lack of fast travel to help traverse the many layers of verticality really hurts the flow. Especially because the main training area is at ground level and you have to go all the way down to the bottom middle of the part of the map, from the top middle part of the map, just to pack out your weapon or repair your shield. And how could I forget the death of Orion? A wonder weapon that is, and I cannot stress this enough. Absolute
dog shit.
Yes, I know you can spam it with a glitch, but not only is that not intended behaviour, nerd emoji, I know, but if you do it, you can say goodbye to all your ammo in that same round. Sure, 9's atmosphere is pretty good and the map can be quite fun despite its flaws. This map would be better if they added more ways to get around the map in a similar manner to how Shangri-La did things, as that map had a similar level of verticality, and if the death of Orion wasn't so bad, the boss spam would have been a lot more bearable. All in all, 9 is decent. It had a lot of fun things, but also has a lot of not so fun things. Number 33, Ascension. I am starting off this segment with the fact that I love the round change music on BO3 Ascension. I mean, come on now. Absolutely fucking incredible. I hope COD 2024 has something like this. Anyway, where were we? Ascension is generally seen as one of the easiest maps ever made, but that doesn't stop it from being fun. The monkey rounds can be quite annoying, but it's easy to defend the bare essentials solo should you keep the right doors shut, and later on you can just rebuy any lost perks without much worry. Whilst it didn't introduce any standard sort of new wonder weapon, it did introduce the Matryoshka dolls and the Gersh device, which were quite cool additions, as were the introduction of Stamina Up and PhD Flopper. Overall, this map is just a better Kino, thanks to its wider gameplay variety, although I should say that aside from getting Pack-a-Punch open, the lunar landers are basically useless as fast travel, cause they're so slow. Number 32, Voyage of Despair. Voyage is a map that I really want to enjoy, and to some extent I do. Whether you do enjoy it or not, you have to acknowledge that this is without a shadow of a doubt the coolest setting for a zombies map ever. And the atmosphere reflects that. It starts off with, you're fighting zombies on the Titanic as it's sinking, isn't that awesome? And then goes to, you're fighting zombies on the Titanic as it's sinking. You are fucked. The Krakens are a somewhat decent set of wonder weapons whose ammo can be purchased like a war weapon, provided you have killed the weapon's respective catalyst and collected its essence. And whilst the map flow is wonky as hell and has an unbelievable amount of buyable doors, its fast travel is pretty cool, taking you from one side of the ship to the other quickly whilst allowing you to drop down to the middle. And for the only time in the Chaos story, the inclusion of catalysts actually makes sense as they are part of the map's gameplay with the wonder weapon. Still, the map isn't really player friendly and the Stokers do get spammed way too much, to the point where even the characters you play as will comment on how often he spawns, which is quite funny, I will admit. Number 31, Call of the Dead. Call of the Dead can be a hard yet fun experience. It features the weak BO1 weapons we've come to know and love, and this is the first map to introduce two new wonder weapons, the Scavenger and the VR11, which whilst they were both awesome in their own ways, they were both also pretty weak themselves. It also features the legend himself, George Romero, a constant threat, and a great boss enemy who drops a free perk and can drop the Wunderwaffe DG2 should you defeat him. And you've done the Easter egg, but yeah, it's a permanent reward, so I'm counting it. And lastly, it introduced Deadshot Daiquiri, which would go down in history as the most useless perk ever created, until Infinite Warfare and games onwards would start giving it a glow up. At its best, Call of the Dead can be a fun challenge, but at its worst, it can, and will, kick you when you're down. A lot. Number 30, Tag der Toten. So much beauty, side quests, challenges, wonder weapons, interactions between players, zombies, and the environment, and a greatly improved fast travel system and a general map flow to its predecessor. How can a map manage to have all of this and still manage to be so fucking boring? Enter Tag der Toten, a map that accomplishes so much yet so little at the same time. A great improvement over Call of the Dead, but it struggles to hold a candle to the maps that came after it. Honestly, it just needs more variety and depth to make it stand out, I think. But going a little bit more in-depth to this map, it features the Victis crew, which, while it didn't make sense for them to be on this map, I think they're generally more entertaining than the Call of the Dead crew. The Wunderwaffe DG Sharpshooter / DG Sharpshooter / Sniper Waff / DG1 / DG whatever is a decent wonder weapon. It's able to kill 11 zombies per shot rather than DG2's 10, but it relies on headshots to get the job done. But it does have a greatly increased ammo pool, a trait shared with the Tundra Gun, which takes the Thunder Gun and turns it into a powerful snow cannon. If either of these side-grade wonder weapons aren't for you, then the standard Thunder Gun is also available. The zip lines, flingers, dynamite, and the heat pack all go together to make this large map flow pretty good, actually. Honestly, you can travel around this map unexpectedly fast. The golden pack-a-punch is a great tool, allowing you to fully upgrade your weapons for a fraction of the price, should you be able to get to it. I like the fire and electric zombies and how they interact with the environment, and the challenges to get bonuses around the map are cool as well. But I just feel like this map is missing something despite all of that. Number 29. Die Rise. When you're not waiting for elevators or riding elevators, Die Rise can be a pretty fun map. It introduced powerful war buyers like the AN-94 and the SVU, as well as an even more powerful wonder weapon, the Slick with Fire. It introduced an actually useful buildable, something not so common in the previous map, the Trample Steam. This was useful for traversing the map as well as cheating the new special round, the Jumping Jacks. It also introduced Who's Who, a pretty decent perk if you can pull off the revive, but with a map layout like Die Rise, I can see why people don't like it. However, as I said, the main problem with this map is the elevators. Waiting for an elevator to come to your floor so you can get a perk, pack-a-punch, or go up a floor, especially in the Dragon Building, can get quite annoying. I know you can use the elevator key to call an elevator, but to get that you have to use this one area really out of the way, and it's only a one-time use, so you have to get another one, and it's just not worth it. Still, Die Rise can be a pretty fun and skillful map when anything to do with elevators isn't involved. Yep. Your ears don't deceive you. Your eyes don't either. Yep, the map, the name of the map just popped up. Number 28 is Shadows of Evil. It's got a great wand weapon, great atmosphere, great setting. What's so bad about Shadows? The map that so many people put on a golden pedestal. Well, my problems lie in a few things. Firstly, the elephant, or Magua, in the room. The setup is one of the most stupid, boring, repetitive setups of any Zombies map, and it overstays its welcome like it's going out of style. Jesus fucking Christ, the setup genuinely makes me want to bash my head against the wall. Not even the more advanced stuff like the sword or the Apothicon Servant, which, credit where it's due, I love how you obtain it, just through normal gameplay. Just getting on the pack-a-punch can be a slog, especially with how inconsistent the duration of Beast Mode is. Sometimes you can open up an entire district with one pop, but other times it lasts a grand total of 10 seconds, maybe even less. The cast is one of the more forgettable casts we've ever had, with Nero and Jackie fucking Vincent being the only somewhat memorable characters, and the map flow is abysmal. There it is. It's not the map layout, that's fine. It's not the fact that it's big. Big maps can flow well as later entries on the list will show. It's the fact that every single solitary fucking corridor and passageway and everything has to be tighter than a fly's arse. And worst of all, the fact that the map has not one, but two fast travels that are completely fucking useless for fast travel. The tram is only good for getting the sword, and the portals are only good for going to Pack-a-Punch. Firstly, because the portals back to the districts aren't labelled in any way, and their locations make no sense. And secondly, because the portals to Pack-a-Punch aren't even at the end of the district. They're in the middle for some reason. I mean, come on, you had this shit figured out in Doris. How did you manage to fuck it up 7 years later? Whilst looks mean very little about the map to me in the grander schemes of things, as you will see, that ugly ass skybox with both the skyscrapers and Captain Calamari floating in the sky looking extremely out of place they both make me want to puke. That's a nitpick anyway, but still, whenever people say this map is perfect, I can't help but facepalm. But enough crapping on Shadows. It does have redeeming qualities, as I have previously said. The Apothicon Servant is a great wonder weapon, the way you obtain it is awesome, how it's just tied to normal gameplay and you just eventually it falls into your hands. It's I love it. The Magua is a well-rounded boss enemy that helps shake up the round, and you know, it's not difficult, it's quite balanced, you have to respect it, but at the same time it's not annoying. The Civil Protector I do like, as well as the utility around him, you know, him being able to one-shot the Magua, and the music is great as well. I love the jazz of the map. Although it's not the best jazz in Zombies, another map claims that title. Anyway, that's enough waffling on about Shadows of Evil. If this ranking couldn't get any worse in the books of a lot of people, you won't believe what I have right after this. Number 27. Outbreak. The definitive objective-based experience. Outbreak's various open worlds filled with plenty of side objectives and one of a somewhat variety of main objectives can be an absolute blast, and I think it's the best objective mode we've had to date. I remember playing the absolute shit out of this when it came out. It features a plethora of wonder weapons and every special enemy, almost turning this into a zombies playground of sorts. And despite the size of the maps, I think that they still flow well thanks to the inclusion of vehicles and things like jump pads, rifts. Still, I think that the main objectives can get quite repetitive and the maps generally lack in personality. Sure, these are reused maps from Fireteam Dirty Bomb, but they could have given them a little makeover like Hotel Royal from Duran Fong and Von Dead from the Haunting event in Warzone. Outbreak can be quite fun to go back to every now and then, despite all this, but it could certainly use a lot more. Here's to hoping that if COD 2024 has another Outbreak, it's just a direct improvement over what we have. Number 26. Shaolin Shuffle. Shaolin Shuffle is a weird map. That's the word I would use to describe a lot of things about it. Weird. The setup is weird, the wonder weapon / specialist hybrid is weird. I mean, it's IW, everything's gonna be weird. That being said, I love the 1970s New York setting. It's one of the few zombies maps to be based around a real place. Although while I can't say for sure that the map layout was designed around a specific area in New York, it does have plenty of New York's historic landmarks in the backdrop. And obviously the 70s music playing throughout the map, and as the round change themes is also pretty nice. And it also introduced Deadeye Dewdrops, the first in many glow-ups Deadshot Daiquiri would get. The Chi abilities, or however you pronounce them, I butchered it, are fun to use, but limiting their use to just one pop per round is just... no. If you're gonna do that, at least make it last longer rather than just allow me to clear 2 hordes of zombies before it runs out of juice. The nunchucks are also kinda iffy. They're meant to regenerate your health as you kill zombies, but sometimes it just doesn't work, leading you to just drop in dead. The katana is a great wonder weapon though. The big problem with this map, and possibly the most infamous part of it though, are the ninja zombies. In Shaolin, you can kind of use their teleporting to your advantage by sprinting to get them to teleport in front of you before blasting them in the face thanks to the more open training area that Shaolin offers. But when they start getting spammed, it becomes not very fun. Number 25. Descent. Descent is the final map in Exo Zombies, and it can be quite a fun one. It introduced the KLO-free Trident, a fun concept for a wonder weapon that, like every weapon in Exo Zombies, wonder weapon or not, really lacked in damage. And a good map layout that took full advantage of the Exo movement. The map itself is gorgeous, the blunderbuss is awesome, and it features the first ever boss fight that was pretty cool, although being forcefully dragged into it was not. However, it still suffers from Exo Zombies' many flaws. They also introduced the Fuse Zombie, because as if EMZs and Blinkers weren't bad enough, you would now have to be chased down by a new enemy that was either a variant of the EMZ or the Blinker. These guys can go fuck themselves. Descent, it can be fun, it's decent at best. I mean, yeah. Number 24. Zetsubo no Shima. If I had one word to say about Zetsubo, it would be Thrashers. If I had 2, it would be Thrashers. Thrashers get spammed way too much on this map. Thankfully, the KT-4 is here to the rescue, as it makes them somewhat bearable to fight. Although I wouldn't even talk about its upgrade process, because that can fuck right off. The map itself flows okay, and it has some pretty creepy vibes, and I am liking that. The way Quick Revive drops into the map from the plane is cool. The different plans you can grow are really cool. I like the spider mini-boss that gives you Widow's Wine, and I do like the standard spider enemies too. The Skull of Nan Sapway is a powerful specialist weapon that's kind of a pain to get because Thrashers! You get the idea. The Thrashers in this map are a royal pain in the ass and drag it down so much. It has some decent things going on, but the Thrashers are just far from one of them. Annoying planty shits. From one swampy shithole to the next. Or the previous, really. Vanguard's Shino Numa takes the number 23 spot. This map makes Vanguard actually bearable to play and really brings into the light some of the cooler things that game did, like the Altar of Covenants, for example. It also marked yet another return of the Wunderwaffe we've all come to know and love, now with a little side quest to get it. The addition of Pack-a-Punch, an entirely new area, side quests, a better variety of enemies, and Vanguard's gameplay mechanics really make this stand out as the best incarnation of Shino Numa we've ever seen, and it's not even close. If you like Cold War, have a copy of Vanguard lying around somewhere, and you haven't played this map, I recommend you at least give it a try. It can be an absolute blast. Number 22. Altar of Blood. Altar of Blood is the second Tortured Path Survivor map we've ranked, and the third and final overall, featuring a tighter map layout compared to Bodega, as well as a Pack-a-Punch upgrade quest that isn't a pain in the arse to do solo. Much. although you're likely the guy to do it unless you have photographic memory because it's got this, you have to input this weird fucking code. It features the same 10 wonder weapons as the other Tortured Path survival maps, the razzling and dazzling golden Pack-a-Punch camo. I approve. It also features the standard Wuslings and Bremers as well as bombers. Like Bodega, Altar of Blood can be a very fun survival experience, and it can be quite a challenge as well thanks to its tighter layout. Number 21. Groston House. Take Nocturne Totem and make it good. Like, really good. That's Groston House, or it's essentially a truly modernised version of the Noct we've come to love for one reason or another since World at War. You're locked in a small house with nothing but your wits, a horde of zombies at the door, and Wuslings. Fuck! It has some cool side content, unlike Noct, that really brings it into the modern age, like being able to open up a hidden room in the mystery box, as well as being able to upgrade the mystery box to give you basically crate power for the rest of the game. Also does feature a random blitz machine, which is basically the Wunderfizz, but it forces you to take a perk because World War II, I guess. Groston House is an extremely challenging, yet fun and replayable survival map, although sadly is locked behind completion of the Final Reich's Easter egg. Number 20. Origins. Origins can be a very fun map. It can also be a royal pain in the arse. It's also one of the most overrated maps in Zombies, I think. Sure, it's still good, but it's nowhere near the top 5. At least for me, as you can clearly see. Firstly, before I tear this map a new one, I'll at least lay out the good things it did. It introduced a new power-up, Zombie Blood, which is a really cool power-up that can get you out of some sticky situations. The staff are a cool set of wonder weapons, although some are definitely better than others. I really like the dig spot mechanic, especially with the glowing dig spots. It adds so much to the map. The atmosphere and music is top notch, especially the music that plays when you open up the dig site. And despite what I'm about to say in a second, this map has some really cool visuals, like the robots stomping around, all the planes fighting above you, the blimp, the conversion generators of the Pack-a-Punch room, and the crazy place. This map is filled with so much content, I don't think I'll ever be able to experience it all, never mind list it. But this map has problems. Big ones. I may as well say it now as it's probably on your mind as we speak. Mud. The mud is horrible and a major contributor to how this map just flows like molasses. Literally doing anything on this map feels like a chore thanks to combined efforts of the mud, the tight pathways, and, well, the steps to do whatever themselves being incredibly fucking boring. I'm looking at you, elemental staffs. It also doesn't help that the fast travel on the map literally moves slower than you do. That's how utter trash the tank is. Templars are quite possibly the most annoying max ammo round ever conceived. You mean to tell me that I have to run over to a random generator potentially on the other side of Origin's gigantic map to kill a few Templars every couple rounds before they disable all my generators, whilst being chased by a horde of zombies and potentially several Panzer Soldats. Fuck off! Fuck the Templars. And on that, we've also got the incredibly buggy Panzer Soldat with his janky ass claw that spawns directly on top of you every few rounds and gets spammed a lot in the later rounds. Another problem on this map is the characters. Now, I know it seems like sacrilege for me to say anything bad about Primus, but they are at their absolute worst on this map. They have next to nothing interesting to say at all. And that's not to start on Samantha, who's another league of fucking annoying in this map. And finally, a nitpick. This map is ugly as sin. Sure, it has some cool visuals as previously mentioned, but the only colours in this map are blue and brown, and a little bit of grey. It looks like I'm in the average public restroom with a Battlefield 3 blue filter. I get that this map is set in World War I and all, but Treyarch really could have sprinkled in a little bit of extra colour into this map, you know, some creative places, and maybe a little bit of just other things to make this map more visually interesting in places. In conclusion, Origins is a good and very fun map, sometimes, but far from close to being the best. Number 19. Alpha Omega. People will sing the praises of Origins day and night, but when Alpha Omega is brought up, most people won't hesitate to tear into it like Fluffles the XL bully when he sees an unmauled toddler. I honestly think that this map genuinely has some of the same pros and cons as Origins, and I think its maligned reputation is living proof that if Origins released at any other time after the end of BO2, it would have been regarded as an absolute travesty. Alpha Omega features 4 elemental wonder weapons based off the Ray Gun Mark II. Sure, you can say what you want about them being boring, reused, etc., but I think they're kinda cool, especially the dual-wield one. That one's arguably the worst out of the bunch, but it's still cool. They're easy to get, not really requiring a guide, and the quests are quite fun. Except for the shotgun variant's grenade throw, that one can go fuck itself. A few instances of similarities to Origins includes the Pack-a-Punch system. In Alpha Omega, you have to clear 4 gas valves to open up Pack-a-Punch. These valves can shut off at random after a few rounds. Sounds similar to something from Origins, doesn't it? Although in Origins you can prevent the generator under attack and further generators from shutting down by killing the Templars. In Alpha Omega they just shut down immediately. However, you can fix them in your own time. You can run to the valve, crank it a few times, run away to deal with the gas zombies that spawn, and go back to it with no loss of progress. However, starting in the 20s they do start shutting off more and more until it gets to the point where one shuts off every round, which is just kind of a bitch. Like Origins, it also features an annoying special enemy and a really buggy one, with the Nova Bombers and Jolting Jacks respectively. Nova Bombers give zombies extra health and make them super sprint, but the Jolting Jacks are really only bad from a console player's perspective, as them teleporting around can cause your aim assist to flick right onto them no matter where you were looking before, sometimes even turning you a full 180 degrees whilst you're running, causing you to jump straight into a horde of zombies. Both maps also have some pretty bad map flow, Origins due to its scale, the robots, the mud and the lack of fast travel, and Alpha Omega due to its confusing bunker layout, although Alpha Omega features something Origins doesn't. An actual useful fast travel system. The telepads have to be one of my favourite fast travel systems thanks to the many places you can put them. And before I forget, the round change music is up there as some of the best of all time. Alpha Omega is a fun, challenging and all in all very underrated map. To me it's on the same level as Origins, they're both different yet so similar, doing some of the same things right and wrong. Although they are both still unique, they can both still be very fun maps, although they can both be a royal pain in the arse. Now I know some of you may be intrigued, maybe even concerned about the maps I'm putting above the beloved Origins. Well, Alpha Omega was just the beginning. Number 18 is Forsaken, Cold War's very own chaotic masterpiece. I'm kicking this one off once again by talking about the minor addition that adds so much character. That's right, it's time to talk about more gorgeous round change music. Seriously, Forsaken's vibe is just amazing. The Crystal Axe is an absolutely brilliant wonder weapon and perhaps one of the most overpowered wonder weapons we've ever had our hands on. And thanks to this, the boss spam this map crams down your throat isn't too bad. Even if literally every boss appears on this map except the Megaton and the Krasny Soldat, because fuck those two in particular. Also, thanks to Cold War's mechanics and the fact that most of the bosses are a piece of cake to kill, now even more so with the Crystal Axe. But we still have to talk about the map itself. Yes, it's a reused area from the campaign that does kind of suck, that we don't get anywhere unique as the finale to Cold War, but hey, it's probably the most unique military base out of all the ones that you do see in Cold War Zombies. What, with the fake American town and all? The arcade is a great area, somewhat like Spacelands, although rather than the literal arcade games, they have challenges like the dragon feeding objective from Outbreak and playing a Zombies game within your Zombies game. Oh, and the return of Bubby. Oh, we've come full circle. Burger Town, foot lettuce. Thankfully, we have no Goliath zombies, no toxic zones, no survivors, no oozers, and no EMZs. Well, I suppose we do have tempests. And finally, I may as well address the elephant in the room. This map's flow is not great. I don't mind the reliance on teleporters and zip lines as much as most, mainly because most of the areas have a teleporter to the previous and next area and a zip line straight to Pack-a-Punch, but I'd be lying if I said it didn't irk me a little bit. Forsaken is a really cool, super fun, and underrated map. Number 17. The Frozen Dawn. The Frozen Dawn is a map that I really don't understand the hate for. It features 4 wonder weapons which, while some of them may not be the best, you can't deny they are cool as hell. Fuck the shield. The puzzles to get some of them can also be really fun. Fuck the shield. Although I do agree they can be a little too complicated at times. Fuck the shield. The Corpse Eaters are probably the most inoffensive special enemy out of the World War II maps, infrequently spawning, and even then being less powerful than the Geckos while they're at full power. Fuck the shield. Opening Pack-a-Punch is a weird process that is hard to learn but easy to remember after you've done it once, like Shell and Shuffle. Fuck the shield. The map flow is pretty good and the fast travels also give you a chance to Pack-a-Punch your weapons whilst using them without sacrificing too much speed. Fuck the shield. And finally, this map is absolutely gorgeous. All the different views from the icy caves of Fool to the God King Citadel and the Crash Zeppelin and Spawn, all fantastic set pieces to slay some undead to. Fuck the shield. As for the cons, the shield quest, the shield quest, the shield quest, and the fucking shield quest. Fuck the shield. I hate this goddamn quest so much. I hope whoever designed it learned from their mistakes and made something fun to do. You thought I was going to say something along the lines of got fired then, didn't you? Got him! Being serious, the wonder weapons are cool and all to me, but they are a bit underpowered, especially considering the lengths you have to go to get them. And I think the corpse eaters could spawn a little more, but have them be part of the enemy pool in the round rather than having them only spawn when you're holding a zombie. I swear that's the only time I've ever seen them spawning naturally. It's only when I'm holding a zombie, god damn it! Anyway, in conclusion, the Frozen Dawn is a pretty good map that is very underrated in my eyes. And one more thing.
Fuck the shield.
Number 16. MWIII der Toten. MWIII der Toten is unique in Cold War for being the only map where the characters really have personality. From the Cerberus, a very unique sci-fi energy weapon with several modifications, not the map, and a hilarious set of AI voice modules based off the Requiem division heads, Strike Team's own mega group captors who are charming and funny, and sometimes intimidating. And then there's Steve from Minecraft, who also happens to be Von List's nephew. My totally legitimate source says he's originally meant to be Von List's son, but that would make Jaeger's, Steve's existence a mystery, as we all know that Von List has never had sex in his life. But in all seriousness, Gorev, Jaeger, and William Prick are funny, and Kravchenko is Kravchenko. The Berlin Wall setting is quite nice and fitting for Cold War, even if it is primarily reused from the campaign. The verticality this map has is also a nice feature, with all the different ways to traverse giving this map some pretty good flow, and Klaus is also absolutely hilarious. Whilst the characters in the map may have lots of personality, the map is strongly lacking in that department, again likely due to most of the areas being used from the campaign. The roster of boss zombies is nice, though I feel like the Krasny Soldats get spammed a little too much. This map has the humour and depth that classic Treyarch Zombies has, with Cold War's gameplay style, and I can see why people say it's the best map in Cold War. Number 15. Carrier. And here's another one to get the audience all riled up. Carrier, a phenomenal map that is dragged down by the many shortcomings of Exo Zombies. EMZ's weak weapons, the Pack-a-Punch system, and the zombies all competing to be the leading role in the next biggest Cocaine Bear knockoff, Cocaine Zombie. This map added some great new features to Exo Zombies and was the first map that I feel truly took advantage of the exosuit movement. It introduced 2 new power-ups, Open Fire, which would return as infinite ammo in Infinite Warfare, and a Free Fire specialist in World War II, and Explosive Touch, which we haven't seen officially return as a power-up since. Although there's likely some Gobble Gum, Elixir, or Fortune card that mimics its abilities. It also introduced a few new special grenade types and a grenade plinko machine, and treasure drones. Oz popping in to replace the announcer every now and then is also absolutely fucking hilarious. The bomb diffusal rounds may be controversial to some, but personally I don't mind it. Sure, it spawns human AI that shoot at you, dealing not too much damage, but these are relatively easy to deal with and help shake up the gameplay in my opinion. I hate the Goliath soldiers though. One thing this map introduced that I don't like are the blinker zombies. Take the Nova 6 Crawlers from Moon, take out the Nova 6 and make them super sprint. That's the blinker, and they're really fucking annoying. Other than that, the LZ-52 Limbo is a really cool wonder weapon, and it's pretty good for Exo Zombie standards, but it's still really weak, which is a shame because it's a really cool weapon. Number 14. Classified. They took 5, gave it a not so fresh coat of bloody paint, reworked the teleporters, added a few buildables, buffed the Winter's Howl, remove the Pentagon thing, sprinkled in a few new areas and then proceeded to shove it in an absolute banger of a soundtrack and the return of the beloved Ultimus cast. Classified is a simple remake yet absolutely brilliant. Classified is Black Ops 4's remake of 5, the classic from Black Ops 1. This map looks so much better, actually looking like a zombies outbreak has taken place. Ultimus is probably at their best here as all of the characters are equally funny, even Takeo, who has some absolute zingers in this map. The Winter's Howl also returned from 5 now with more damage. Still not the best, but it's definitely an improvement. The reworked teleporters also make this map flow brilliantly, unlike the random teleporters of the original, and the return of No Man's Land from Moon as a normal training area was a nice throwback, and the other new areas were also nice additions. And of course you can't forget the jazz. Shadows of Evil has some magnificent music, don't get me wrong, but Classified? Man, is it something else. Classified is a brilliant map that expands on 5 in almost every way, minus the lack of the Pentagon Thief. Thankfully, the Bonfire Sail power-up he drops is available through other means. Number 13. Die Maschine. Whilst MWIII der Toten may have more personality in its characters, Die Maschine has more personality in the actual map itself. Die Maschine is a great expansion of the Nocturne and Totem we've all come to love over so many iterations, and it really fits to come back here for the beginning of a new storyline. The map feels like a whole new map despite being yet another remake of Nacht. The new areas are absolutely brilliant, and the fresh coat of paint this map has almost shows a story of what it's become after all this time. From a secret Nazi lab to a squatter's den and finally to an Omega Group facility. The DIE wonder weapons are one of my favourites despite some of them being kind of bad, but I really like the detail when you swap to a different element, with swapping out the canister and all. The Megaton is a great boss enemy, and how can I possibly forget the Dark Ether? It's an absolutely beautiful part of the map, yet it's so criminally underutilised, it is actually insane. My only other complaint off the top of my head is that heavy zombies spawn in far earlier on this map compared to the rest of Cold War. Die Maschine is a phenomenal remake, and that's why it's at number 13. Number 12. Moon. Moon used to be my favourite map of all time. Now other maps have surpassed it, but it's still a very fun map. Moon can be a great map to just chill on if RNG doesn't absolutely fuck you. You have the excavators, which usually aren't too bad for me, but if I have to deactivate one on a pinch, it can get into a bit of squeaky bum time territory. I can see why people don't like them though, but it helps shake up the gameplay loop just a bit. The astronaut is absolutely fucking terrifying, and I actually kinda like him. It encourages you to be a bit more careful when running through the map, because he could just be stood right next to a door or just around a corner ready to jump scare you. The wave gun is a good wonder weapon, and the QEDs are really, really cool. And the return of the Gersh is also welcome. The Hacker is a great equipment offering high risk and reward, and you better memorize its spawn location because you are going to need it when those excavators fire off. Granted, the spawn locations are marked, which is really, really good. And No Man's Land, or Area 51, is a cool concept which makes pack-a-punching your guns so much more dangerous. Because even if you hold a zombie, you are never safe. There are only 3 things that really let this map down in my opinion. Firstly, the inclusion of Widow's Wine in Black Ops 3 is just not good in this map. If it didn't smash the windows, it would be great, but of course Trolloc just had to strike. The second complaint is of course about Jug and Speed Cola being in Area 51. If you go down and your last perk in Area 51 was Jug, then you can kiss your run goodbye, my friend. And the teleporting Nova Crawlers just suck. There's no way to put it, they're just awful. Nevertheless, despite its flaws, Moon is a great map and one of my most played maps of all time. The randomness inherent in its many mechanics leads to a replayable, yet challenging experience. Number 11. Mob of the Dead. Yet another of the holy trinity of zombies doesn't make the top 10, I know. I'm awful. I'm wicked. Devious. Dastardly. I'm twirling my mustache as I collect the salty tears. Okay, but being serious now, Mob is a pretty good map. It's got a decent wonder weapon in the Blundergat and a good boss zombie in Brutus, who encourages the player to shut him down quick before he starts taking over your favourite utilities around the map, and hikes the prices to extortionate levels. Seriously, who's the criminal here? The cast is pretty good for the vibe that this map goes for, and whilst I like this map's aesthetic and its accuracy to the real life Alcatraz, the lack of stamina leaves much to be desired in terms of flow. The pack variety in general on this map is absolutely abysmal, although Electric Cherry is also pretty good for Mob's close quarters design. The map-exclusive weapons such as the Death Machine, Uzi, AK-47 and Tommy Gun are great additions to the map. The Hell's Retriever is a cool tactical grenade, yet it leaves me wanting something more when it comes to killing potential. I know that's not its only function, but still. And the 2 main training areas of the map both have their risks and rewards. The Golden Gate Bridge is more open, Brutus's constant spawning is a good source of points, and Pack-a-Punch is right next to you, but you can't get any power-up drops. Meanwhile, the cafeteria is more tight but has a build table with a shield, and you can get power-up drops. Building and flying the plane to escape Alcatraz always feels absolutely epic, and the tasks to get the parts are generally more fun than Shadows of Evil's rituals. However, refueling the plane after every trip to the bridge certainly isn't. The map could have done with some better fast travels and wonder weapons, but all in all, Mob is a great map with lots to do and see. It isn't perfect by any means, but it's usually quite fun to play. Number 10. USS Mount Olympus. The definitive survival experience. Those are the words I would use to describe USS Mount Olympus, the greatest survival map we've ever had. This is a map that has 10, yes, 10 wonder weapons, and is still a very challenging map due to its extremely close quarters nature. But you may be asking me, what sets this above the other Tortured Path survival maps which also do the same thing? Well, the Pack-a-Punch upgrade quest is the easiest out of the 3, and this is the only map in the entirety of World War II Zombies not to feature Wustlings in the map at all. The only con that I can really think of is the fact that you can't play this map in a public session, but as a solo player, that doesn't affect me one bit. Der Eisendrache? More like Der Eisencrack, eh? Anyway, number 9 is Raven the Redwoods. Rave is a criminally underrated map. Like Spaceland before it, it features 4 elemental wonder weapons. The crossbows, built off of the explosive tipped base version. That Doris and Draka joke wasn't too much for reach. Most of the crossbows are pretty good and have their own uses, except the Ben Franklin, that one's useless. It also features different challenges to unlock tactical grenades, such as the ever overpowered rewind grenade. It also features collectible charms that can enhance the game, gems that you can redeem to get buildables, and a zipline fast travel that basically works like Call of the Dead's. There's so much to do in this map, but it still has its problems. I'll get out of the way rather than making you wait for a full minute. The boat ride to Pack-a-Punch is just not good. Why do you have to sit through a minute-long unskippable cutscene just to go to Pack? At least in Gorod, the cutscene didn't even last that long. Rave mode is a cool mechanic in concept, but in execution it just falls on its face, thanks to the slasher. Unlike later on in Beast, the slasher is almost completely invincible, while still having the instant red screen ability and being able to teleport. This guy makes Rave mode a no-go past round 10. If they reduced his damage and gave you ways to at least outsmart him rather than outright kill him, I don't know, like Scooby-Doo style, he would have been a fun and scary enemy to play against, but instead we have an enemy that can teleport right on top of you, who can instantly red screen you at best and one-hit kill you at worst. Rave is a fun map weighed down by some poorly thought out mechanics, but it can still be a blast to play regardless. Number 8. Dead of the Night. A haunted mansion, vampires, werewolves. An excellent wonder weapon and complexity done right. I usually don't play maps that are too complex, but when I do feel like playing a complex map, I know Dead of the Night has me covered. It features 2 wonder weapons, Alistair's Annihilator, an absolutely phenomenal wonder weapon, and the Savage Impaler to give you an edge against the vampires you all fight in this map. There is also the Silver Bullets, giving extra damage versus the main boss enemy of the map, the werewolf, and letting you restock the ammo of any bullet weapon you put on it, for a price, of course. I think it's aesthetically one of the coolest maps ever made. The central mansion area, the forest, the cemetery, and especially the greenhouse. This map is goddamn beautiful. The werewolf is a great boss with a good counter, as I previously mentioned, and the vampires and Nosferatus are also good additions to the map. The fast travels in this map are also placed in just the right spots, being at the very end of the pathways, and hot take, the Dead of the Night crew is the best celebrity crew, and it isn't even close. I have very little in terms of bad things to say about this map, other than maybe the amount of spawn locations for the tuning force yet to Pack-a-Punch, and the graphical glitches of the trees in the cemetery. This map is probably the best when it comes to the more complicated side of Zombies maps. Number 7. Ancient Evil. Ancient Evil is a map that, I'll admit, took me a while to truly come to appreciate. It has 4 powerful wonder weapons that are easy to acquire and fun to upgrade, except for Oranos. And have pretty much infinite ammo if you run Bloodwolf Bite in your modifier, which is something I didn't even know until very recently. We also have the trial system that we've now also seen in Cold War, and some pretty damn beautiful scenery, from the beautiful ancient Greek city of Delphi frozen in time to whatever the fuck is going on in the Pack-a-Punch area. The setup is really cool, and the Oracle popping in to lend a hand every now and then is also really nice. Spartoi are great enemies that shake up your loadout, as they are the only enemy to counter the Hellion Salvo, as it cannot kill them, or at least most of the time. They knew exactly what they were doing there, didn't they? On the other hand, the Geganese is annoying as fuck. Not only is this guy an absolute tank, this guy is an absolute tank, being able to withstand everything you throw at it and leave you with next to no ammo. This 4-arm prick is very, very annoying. And of course, the return of the Catalysts, mainly the water ones, can always be quite annoying, but they're in every other Chaos map, so it's no surprise to see them here. Ancient Evil is an amazing map, and that's where it's at number 7. Number 6. Attack of the Radioactive Thing. And here it is, quite possibly the most controversial, no, batshit insane ranking on this entire list. Attack of the Radioactive Thing is the number 6 spot. It's fucking phenomenal, and a great example of how a big map can have good flow and then some. Ever since I first played Attack, I've never been able to get the hate for it. It has a pretty decent wonder weapon in the Mad, which while it is infinite damage, it's lacking a little bit in the ammo capacity department. Although if things get too bad, you can easily trade it out as it appears very frequently in the box. Both the Krogs and their Brute variants are great enemies that I find really fun to fight against, believe it or not, and the many buildables on the map are really fun to use and quite effective too. This map is a really good casual map to play, as there are many areas to train and camp in without much fuss, and the map's telepads allow you to navigate to these areas and other important areas in Attack's massive map with ease. The new perk, Change to Choose, is also a pretty solid perk, essentially being a proto-elemental pop, and the whole 50s theme is really cool. Elvira and Willard's bickering is absolutely hilarious. I say bickering, it's more like Elvira minding her own business, Willard threatening to send her to extinction or whatever because he's pissed that she took over as the announcer, and Elvira giving some witty comeback. Honestly, both characters have their charm on their own, but them both interacting leads to some pretty funny moments. The only things I can say are cons about this map is that it has one of those weird setups like Shall and Shuffle. The setup itself is super weird to do but easy to remember, and the map's colour scheme is pretty ugly. They were going for that 50s colour movie sort of look, and I suppose it works, but it still doesn't look great. Overall, Attack of the Radioactive Thing is a super underrated map that I feel people only hate on because they'd much rather listen to the opinion of one big YouTuber and just take it as their own, rather than play the map themselves and think for themselves. Or because of the Easter egg, which is, I suppose, a little bit understandable. Give this map a chance though, you might end up liking it like I do. Number 5. Der Eisendrache. I really can't find the words to properly describe how I feel about DE, so I'll just say, it has a vibe. Der Eisendrache is Origins but better. It has a special place in my heart for being the map that really started my zombies adventures here on YouTube. But putting that aside for this ranking, this map features the Wrath of the Ancient's bow that can be upgraded moderately easy in 4 elemental variants, as well as the Ragnarok DG4, a very powerful specialist's weapon. There's also tons of side stuff to do on the map that I will probably never be able to get around to doing. Again, this map just has so much content. The atmosphere of this map is just brilliant, and that's not to even speak about the map itself. All the areas are unique and frankly gorgeous. I really do like the castle setting. And the map does flow quite well as there are plenty of ways to get around, including teleporters and Wunderspheres. This map is also the point that Primus becomes a lot more entertaining to play as. They were decent in the Giant, but this is the map where they started to get really good. The Panzer Soldat returns from Origins with a fresh coat of paint and a refreshed arsenal, and honestly I like this version more than what we see in Origins. The only thing I don't like about this map is the fact that there's no dog round sound effect. It's just a normal round change in the map. It's just a massive nitpick though, and it just really goes to show how great this map is. Number 4. Zombies in Spaceland. The first map where you can play games within your Zombies game. This is a map set in a theme park overrun by the undead and has a lot of things you'd expect from a theme park. Roller coasters that you can ride, different games that you can play, and many other wacky rides and structures for you to use as traps. It features 4 elemental wonder weapons that are quite good except for the face melter. Spaceland also features a great map layout with lots of ways to get around its very distinct areas, and David Hasselhoff as a DJ in the map, playing 80s music and gassing you up from the sidelines. The 2 special enemies found on the map, the Clowns and the Mascot Brute, are very good enemies. The Clowns are basically just hellhounds, and the Brute is a boss enemy that commands respect that isn't too difficult to put down, much like the Magua. The arcade games, prize tickets, and prize booths are genuinely such cool parts of the map, giving you access to new tactical grenades, elemental cores for your weapons, and even a 5th wonder weapon, the Forge Freeze, although that one's not very good. There's also an unreal amount of things for you to do and see on this map. You'll never do it all in one game, unless you plan to be there all day. But of course, this map does have some areas that could be improved. The zombies targeting you in all the different games can get kind of annoying. I get why they would target you during a round, but towards the end of the round, when zombies have stopped spawning, they should just stop targeting players on the games. Holding a zombie whilst trying to play the games around the arcade is just a massive pain in the arse. The Forge Freeze is the most expensive item in the prize booth, and boy is it absolutely not worth it. I mean, it just sucks. Yeah, a skilled player can get a few minutes in the arcade, but it's just not worth the effort when you can get an arcade core and have it be more useful. And finally, I think some of the teleporters should just be in better places. More notably the ones in Journey to Space and the Kepler system. And double pack the punching being locked behind the Easter egg completion. That's also a pretty bad one, but other than those mostly minor nitpicks, Zombies in Spaceland is a phenomenal map, and if you haven't played it, what the hell are you doing? Number 3. Buried. Buried. How can you not love Buried? The underground old western town of Purgatory Point has so many cool features and mechanics packed into it, I'm struggling to find a place to begin. So I'll start with the main man himself, Leroy, or Arthur, whatever you call him, depends on how much of a nerd you are, but for the sake of simplicity, we'll call him Leroy. This lanky legend can do so much stuff. Fuck. Leroy is your number 1 utility in the map. He can open up pathways, lock the box in place, or move it, craft buildables, kill zombies, hold coolers, and probably much more that I just haven't been able to list off the top of my head. His candy and booze are easy to find, and the possibilities of what he can do with them is basically endless. Wall buy chalks also make an appearance on the map, granting you the ability to put your favourite wall buys wherever you see fit. You can have those powerful weapons like the AN-94, SVU, PDW, and the Galva Knuckles near your training or camping spot for your convenience. I don't know why they never brought this feature back ever. And if you're having trouble finding the locations where you can draw the wall buys, or finding perks, or the mystery box, or even finding ammo and points, Vulturade has you covered. This phenomenal perk highlights nearby resources to the player, wall buys in the empty wall buy spots, perks in the mystery box, and Pack-a-Punch. It also causes points and ammo to drop from enemies and sometimes gives zombies stink clouds that expand upon death, causing players inside to be ignored by the zombies. This perk is sadly only exclusive to Buried, but has been introduced in other forms and other maps, and honestly, if this is in any other map, it would probably break the game. The one and only special enemy of the map can be fought in their own area in the middle of the map. The witches, or ghosts, steal points from the player on contact, and once the player has gotten through the house and killed all the witches, you get a free round of perk. The maze is an area of the map that I really do like due to the challenge it possesses, but if you brave the witch's house and navigate the maze, you're rewarded with Pack-a-Punch. And finally we get to the wonder weapons of the map. Firstly, the Paralyzer. While it does somewhat lack in killing power, its infinite ammo and excellent utility in navigating the map more than makes up for it. Although if you're looking for a wonder weapon that's a little more traditional, then you have the Ray Gun Mark II, a more precision-oriented weapon than its predecessor. This can dish out some serious damage. Neither of them are infinite damage though. Buried is an absolute masterclass of a zombie sandbox. The only thing bad about it is the 2-hit down system, which is kinda nullified with how fast you can get Jug in this map. Seriously, I can find nothing bad about it. Number 2. Revelations. If I had to give the title of the best Treyarch Zombies map, then what better map to give it to than the one that takes the best out of every era of Treyarch up until that point. Rev is a map that has a reputation for being easy, but if you don't use that one high round strategy, then it can actually pose somewhat of a decent challenge. Although when I say the high rounds are easy, I mean they are easy. I believe this is my second highest round ever on Zombies, with my first being around 100 on MWIII, and I don't go for high rounds too much, so that just goes to show how much I like this map. Revelations features the return of 3 wonder weapons, the Thunder Gun, a Popicon Servant, and a Ragnarok DG4. Wonder weapons that are, to say the least, pretty damn good. Its map layout is split with teleporters and jump pads similarly to Forsaken, which I don't mind, but I can see sort of why you wouldn't like that. It also features a wealth of new and returning special enemies. The Magua returns with elemental variants, the Panzer from DE returns as well as spiders from Zetsubo, and absolutely nothing from Gorod. Thank you Jason Blundell, very cool. It also features the Parasites, Meatballs, and Keepers from Shadows, as well as a new enemy, the Fury, which adds very little to the map all in all. The map and all of its areas are absolutely gorgeous, and I kinda like how the areas of the map all look different from the original, almost like they're an alternate universe version of the maps that we've all come to know and love. The masks are very rewarding to grind for, especially the one that makes you an 11-hit down, which makes it absolutely impossible to take it down while you're wearing it. Unless you're me. Revelations is a super fun map with way too much to talk about and get into, so let's just hop right into number 1 before I talk my head off, like I've been doing for fucking ages. Number 1. The Final Reich. The Final Reich is fucking perfect! The horror, the atmosphere, the weapons, the setup, the progression, the flow, everything! The Final Reich is a map that is easy to get into thanks to its notebook system, guiding you around the basics. You offer so much to those who look below the surface. This map's early game gives you a scripted introduction to every type of zombie on the map, which I love. You obviously get the zombies on round 1, you'll encounter the pests while activating the pilot light trap to get into the caves, the bombers spawn when you open up the salt mine, and finally, the whistling and Brenner during the process of building the basic Tesla gun. Although I will give credit where it's due to 9 and Shadows for also doing similar things, there's probably a couple of other maps as well, but this map does it really good. The Tesla gun itself is easy to craft, and offers about what you'd expect from a base wonder weapon before applying an elemental upgrade. The elemental upgrades are a bit trickier to get, but they're a perfect balance between being too easy and being an annoying amount of efforts. All 4 upgraded Tesla guns are also pretty damn strong. The Hurricane and the Midnight do very similar things, firing a slow projectile that destroys anything that stands in its way, with one having more ammo but a faster, shorter lasting projectile, with the other having a slower, longer lasting one but less ammo. The Bloodthirst is basically a better Wunderwaffe DG2, and the weakest one, the Reaper, will destroy all the zombies in the blast radius except for one, which will become turned and explode when near other zombies. I have refrained from mentioning Easter eggs too much in this ranking, but the fact that there is a casual and hardcore Easter egg is absolutely brilliant, and I have no idea why that hasn't ever been brought back. There's also plenty of other things to uncover, such as the classic PPSH and the Red Talon sword. And the map itself is brilliant. I love the stark contrast between the cozy, snowy town of Mittelberg and what lies just beneath the surface, Straub's secret lab where evidence of his horrifying, brutal, and utterly depraved human experimentation are scattered across the coldly lit concrete walls. The Brenner is goddamn terrifying, yet fun to fight. The horror and atmosphere this map offers is brilliant, not to mention Straub's monologues and him stalking the player just out of reach. Richter's Zeppelin, the lightning rod, there's so much to do and see on this map. This masterpiece! The map itself flows pretty well too, with the disposal tubes placed in good spots where you want to take a fast route straight to Pack-a-Punch, which being World War II's Pack-a-Punch is one of the best Pack-a-Punches we've had. This map's got atmosphere, it's got flow, it's got a good setup and progression, it's got good one weapons, it's got some good characters. The playable ones, they're alright, but the characters in the map are good. It's got good bosses, it's challenging, it's fun, it allows for a variety of player styles, it offers a good experience in casual play, it rewards you for taking a deep dive under the surface and really doing what may not be initially clear to players. The Final Reich is the best Zombies map of all time. Bravo, Sledgehammer, bravo! Before I wrap this up, I'm going to rank every Zombies game from worst to best, again based on my enjoyment of the game, its maps and its mechanics. Again, opinion's objective, you may disagree and you are free to, blah blah blah, let's just jump into it as this video is long enough. Coming in last place is World at War. It's not bad, it's just aged like milk. It's clunky, buggy, the weapons and perks aren't very good, and the map variety, well, far better maps have released. The only thing this game still has going for it nowadays is its atmosphere. I respect that it was the first and what it brought to the table, all the innovation and whatnot, but nowadays there are far better games to play. Next in 10th place, we have Vanguard. This map has one map that is worth playing and it's a remake. Despite this, it has some great characters, amazing art style, and some pretty cool mechanics like the Altar of Covenant. Still, it doesn't really have much besides that. In 9th place is Black Ops 1. Most of the maps in this game are just done better in Zombies Chronicles. Sure, 5 and Call of the Dead can be fun to revisit, but this game hasn't really aged well at all. The weapons are weak, there's some pretty bad perks as well, and the game itself just hasn't aged all that well. Then in 8th place we have Exo Zombies. This game has some pretty interesting mechanics and ideas, but it all comes crashing down thanks to the EMZs, infection rounds, weak weapons, and a terrible Pack-a-Punch system. It truly is a shame, because if these things were executed a bit better, this could have been a really good and different take on zombies, and while it still is different and can be fun, the flaws weigh it down quite considerably. 7th place goes to Modern Warfare Zombies. It might be a little unfair to rank this game as we still are in its life cycle, but with this game's lackluster post-launch support, repetitive contracts, and just downright weird crafting system, I think it's right to put it here now. It's definitely not the worst objective-based zombies, and it can be fun for the first few games, but it can get very, very boring. 6th place is Black Ops Cold War. This game has the best core mechanics in my opinion, but the maps themselves are just a bit too simple, especially coming off of like Black Ops 3 and 4. Sure, the more casual approach isn't terrible, but you can still have a casual friendly map with a lot to do, such as the Final Reich, for example, and the maps themselves did lack in personality quite a lot of the time. Cold War is a game that I do enjoy from time to time, but it could be much, much better. Coming up in 5th place is Black Ops 2. This game's map selection is quite the mixed bag. It has some of the most loved maps of all time, and some of the most hated. Whilst some do like the hit-2 hit-down system, I personally think it weighs down all of Black Ops 2 maps, especially Nuketown and Transit. Still, it introduced Double Tap 2.0 and had stronger weapons anyway, so it hasn't aged the absolute worst, but it hasn't aged the best either. Regardless, I still think it's quite enjoyable. Coming in 4th place is World War II. I loved all the new mechanics this game introduced. Character select, many secret unlockable characters, the Raven research, and the specialists were all really good features to set it apart from the rest. Seriously, I love the build crafting aspect of World War II, and I hope it returns in a future Zombies title. The maps themselves do feel like they need a little bit more variety. Most of them have the same 4 enemy types, plus a map exclusive boss zombie, and I feel like they could have swapped out the bombers, rustlings, and pests with new zombies types depending on the map. Its Pack-a-Punch is also the best we've ever seen in zombies. The effects it gives some weapons are fucking insane. Coming in 3rd place is Black Ops 4. This game has a wide variety of maps to choose from. Want something simple? Targ, Classified, and 9 have you covered. Want something complicated? Then you have Blood, Voyage, and Dead of the Night. Want something in between? Alpha Omega and Ancient Evil are right there. It also has a pretty interesting perk variety. I personally don't find the perk system too bad, but I do prefer a normal approach. Black Ops 4 is a fun and diverse zombies experience with lots of funny and memorable characters to play and locations to play on. Coming in second place is Infinite Warfare. I mean, come on, Willard Wyler is an absolute treasure, and the actors can be quite a funny cast as well. The maps all have their own unique setting and flavour. The flavour in question being cheesy as hell, and I'm all for it! Zombie collisions aside, the movement feels really good, as do the weapons. Infinity Ward really went all out with this installment of Zombies, and it really sucks that the sequel plan for Modern Warfare 2019 was cancelled, for not being realistic enough to belong in the game. Anime girl guns are fine though. And in first is Black Ops 3. Who saw this coming? Setting custom zombies completely to the side, this game has 6 original maps, well, 5 plus the giant, that have become beloved by the wider Zombies community. Sure, my opinions on these maps may be a little more varied, but I can mostly see why these maps are so loved. Mostly. And if you tire of the 6 original maps, then you also have Zombies Chronicles, giving you some gorgeous remakes of the past maps for you to play on, which breathes new life into maps like Moon and Verrucht, thanks to some improvements. And even then, you still have custom zombies, which I haven't even considered for this ranking, because it's not available on all platforms, and as such, I haven't tried it, because I'm a console peasant. Although I would love to at one stage. Even then, the game isn't perfect. Whilst the game theoretically has the most powerful weapons in the series thanks to the absolutely busted AATs, the weapons themselves are some of the worst feeling weapons to use in possibly the entire history of the franchise. Maybe the only game that comes close to be Advanced Warfare. Most of them are ugly, and the vast majority of them also just sound fucking awful. This even extends to the poor ray gun, which got an absolute butchering in this game. Jesus fucking Christ, I hate the BO3 ray gun with every ounce of my being. Anyway, rant over. That's the end of the video. If you enjoyed this, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, as this took almost 2 months of work. From replaying all the maps and gathering footage to writing this absolute giraffe of a script. Seriously, this might be the longest script I've ever written for a video. And as an added bonus, here's this ranking in a tier list format, so you can see how I would group these maps. Thanks for watching, leave a comment telling me what you think, how many brain cells you lost, and whatever rankings you would like to see. And I'll see you all next time.